So recently I had the opportunity to share some perspective, right? Share some perspective with a couple individuals. And this perspective happened to be about weighing the pros and cons, right? Weighing the pros and cons. And in this context, when we talk about weighing the pros and cons, it's how am I going to react in this situation? What am I going to say? What am I going to do? How am I going to feel? And then, in like this takes practice. Weigh the pros and cons. Weigh the pros and cons immediately. Start having like scenarios play out in your mind. You know, you ever seen a movie where they play a scenario and they get an outcome, they get a scenario and they get a different outcome, or you think they did something bad and then they pan back, and the person is just thinking about something, and then we see them, either choose something different or don't go that direction. That's weighing the pros and cons. But you have to do that all the time. You got to do it very fast. You got to do it very quickly, because when you don't weigh the pros and cons, you get the consequence you deserve. And consequence isn't a bad word. Consequence is simply just the result of the choice you made. That's a consequence. Consequences are positive. Consequences are negative. We all choose consequences. We all have to have a consequence of life. If you eat bad, you will become fat. If you choose to work out, you will become fit. That is a consequence of the things that you're doing, right? So the law of polarity: hot, cold, strong, weak, night, day, all that stuff. So what's the pros and cons that you should choose in life? I always weigh my pros and cons by the outcome that it will have in the ripple. Not the immediate outcome that I want, but how will it affect, keep moving down the line? And that's how I think about it. Because if me and you are having an argument and we disagreeing, maybe I want to cuss you out. Maybe I want to punch you in the face. What's the pros and cons to that? Maybe you have an argument with me. Maybe you want to cuss me out. Maybe you want to punch me in the face. What's the pros and cons in that? Maybe I can't afford something. Maybe I just want to take it. I deserve this. I can have this. I can't afford it, but I'm just going to take it. What's the pros and cons in that? What's the pros and cons of the words you say, the things you do, the activities you partake in, the friends that you have, right? All these things you have to weigh very, very fast. And then life comes at you what? Fast, real fast. So when I was sharing this information with these individuals, the one thing about weighing pros and cons is don't be reactionary. Do not be reactionary. We talk about this all the time, guys. 5-second rule, 30-second rule, 60-second rule if it needs to be. When you feel that, take a step back. Relax. Relax. Tranquilo. Just relax. You don't have to be all huffy puffy and going crazy, and we are all guilty of it. All guilty of it. Sometimes we are reactionary and we don't weigh the pros and cons when we should be weighing the pros and the cons. Think about it like this. If you do something, how will people view you after you do it? If you do something, how will the environment be around and how will you feel after you do it? If you do something, will it cause more harm than good? You get too many people involved and now it's spiraled into something greater or bigger than that you wanted. If you do something, if you choose something, if I say, I'm going to do this instead of thinking about it, what are the results that are going to happen? And play them scenarios out and quickly. Because you could be affected in so many different ways, negatively or positively, but you need to figure out which way you want to be affected. Weigh the pros and cons. Think about the things that you want to do. Be quick, because everything has a consequence. everything.